Salut, c'est Madame Sako et ce soir nous allons apprendre comment conjuguer les verbes acheter préféré. These are stem changing verbs, so they're no difference really than most other ER verbs except for a slight stem change. So let's go. On y va. The first verb is the verb acheter, to buy. You've heard this verb before, I believe, but we haven't really learned how to conjugate it yet. Alors, quand je dis j'achète, ça veut dire en anglais I buy, I am buying, I do buy. C'est la même chose que les autres verbes en ER. Et bon, comment conjuguer au présent? So present tense, so far what you've learned about verbs is that when you conjugate them, you have to take off the ending. In this case, it's an ER ending. Like this, and you have to, and you end up with a stem, and the stem is achet, right? So you can see the stem is right here. And normally, when we conjugate our verbs, we take our subject pronoun, and we start with the stem, and we add the endings. So we end up with our regular ER endings, just like normal when we conjugate verbs. And you can see, just remember, es, Then when we get to the new, we have the ons, like we normally have. Vous achetez. And il and el plural, again, are the same as normal. Okay? The only difference with these stem changing verbs is that when we look at the stem for acheter, we see that there's no accents. However, when we conjugate it, we have the stem change that we have to make is we have to add an accent grave to all of the forms except for nous and vous. Nous and vous tend to act a little differently than all the other forms for many, many, many verbs, not just for this one. But with stem changers, usually je, tu, il, elle plural are the ones that change. Nous and vous stay the same. Okay, so we end up with the following words to say I'm buying, he buys, she buys, etc. Repeat after me. J'achète, tu achètes, il achète, elle achète, nous achetons, vous achetez, ils achètent, elles achètent. So another verb that's like acheter is the verb amener. And amener means to bring someone, to bring a person. All right. We also have the verb apporter, which is not stem changing, but apporter means to bring a thing, whereas amener means to bring a person. And just like acheter, amener also gets an accent grave added when you conjugate it. So you can see that we added this accent here when we conjugate the je form, and the tu form would be the same thing, etc., etc. And again, the nous and vous form do not change. Along the similar lines of acheter is the verb préférer. Now, the verb préférer you guys have seen before. We've done je préfère. You've seen the adjective form of préférer, mon couleur préférée, par exemple. But here we're going to learn how to conjugate préférer in the present tense for all of the different forms, not just the je form. I think you've seen the tu form as well. So préférer, to prefer. Je préfère, I prefer, or I do prefer. This is another stem changer. When we look at the verb préférer, the stem looks like this. Whoops, looks like this. If I highlight, that would be helpful. And you can see that the stem has two accent aigus in it. So when we start out with conjugating, the difference with the stem this time, we don't have to add an accent like we did with acheter. Instead, we change the direction of the accent. So the two accent aigus become an accent aigu and then an accent grave. So we see accent aigu, accent grave. The tu form, same thing. Change the direction of the accent and add the normal ending. Il préfère. Again, we're changing the direction of the accent and then adding the ending. And just like with acheter, the nous and the vous forms are not going to change direction. So we end up keeping our two accent aigus for nous and our two accent aigus for vous. The il and elle forms, plural, again, do change. Il préfère, elle préfère. So again, repeat after me. Je préfère, tu préfères, il préfère, elle préfère, nous préférons, vous préférez, il préfère, elle préfère. And again, keep in mind, nous and vous don't change. Another verb that's similar to préférer is espérer, which is to hope. For example, j'espère aller en France. I hope to go to France. When you conjugate this, again, this one accent changes direction. J'espère aller en France. I hope to go to France. Okay? So this is how you can express things that you hope to do. All right, so for right now, I'm going to suggest that you go to Kia and do your Kia activity and to study these forms, these verbs. Au revoir, bonne journée, bonsoir.